Mr. Van Turnhout.
Thank you very much.
You have 8 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Fitzgerald. And I do welcome, Minister, that you've come here before the House today and that you've accepted the motion. And I thank you for that. I thank you for your detailed statement. And I am happy to see, it's obviously not the announcement that I wanted to see here today. I wanted to hear that the hotline was going into operation without delay. But I do accept your integrity, Minister, and I do accept the proposals that you've laid out here before us. So I welcome that, and I will obviously monitor it. As the Minister said, this goes back to a decision of the European Commission in February 2007, requiring Member States to reserve a 6-digit number range, starting with 116, for the harmonisation of access to services of social value in the European Union. I think this is a decision that was based on reason and pragmatism, which I fully commend. The reason this line is critical is it's critical for the parent of a missing child. It's critical for a child who is scared and vulnerable, having run away from home. It is critical for a person who finds himself outside their home country and is in dire need of help, having been smuggled or trafficked into Ireland. It is critical for someone who has been abducted, maybe by one of their own parents, to know that there is a number that they can call day or night to find assistance, support and guidance. This was the very rationale behind the European 116000 Missing Children Hotline as part of the EU strategy on the rights of the child, which recognises that every missing child, as you've said yourself, Minister, is a tragedy, and that Member States have not only a legal obligation but a moral obligation to implement whatever measures are necessary to prevent such tragedies. The service is currently operating in 16 EU member states. A parent, guardian, professional, concerned member of the public or child who lives in Belgium, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Italy, Malta, the Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Spain and the United Kingdom can all call this Missing Children Hotline on a 24-hour basis. The value of the Missing Children's Hotline, particularly in the context of increased cases of cross-border child disappearances, is exemplified by a recent cross-border parental abduction case. In Belgium, a father took his daughters, aged 7, 10 and 14, and hid them for 9.5 months in very poor and dangerous conditions. In September 2008, following a request by the Belgian and Portuguese Missing Children Hotlines, the evening news on Portuguese television opened with an appeal for information about these missing children and concluded by showing the 116000 Missing Children Hotline number on screen. Minutes after the broadcast, the case was resolved. That's the power of this line. This just shows to me the real and urgent need to establish a systematic exchange of information, standardise operational procedures and increase cross-border cooperation to resolve cross-border cases of missing children in the EU. I think it is a sad indictment of the priority afforded in the safety and well-being of children in the EU that there are still 11 EU member states in which the Children's Hotline is not operational. As European Commission Vice President Viviane Reding, Commissioner for Justice, Fundamental Rights and Citizenship, recently said, it's hard to come to terms with the fact that measures that could help are not fully operational across the Union. It would be a double tragedy to imagine a missing child trying to call the 116000 hotline only to hear an answering machine playing a pre-recorded message announcing that the service will be in operation in 2012. And unfortunately, this is the case in Ireland. In fact, in preparing for today, I decided to dial 116000 and got the message telling me, we are sorry, but we cannot connect your call because the number you have dialed is not in service. Please check the number you dialed and dial again. Now, can you imagine those children from the 16 member states who have had the awareness raising of this line? In the United Kingdom, we have a border. They are here, they ring that number and get that message. And it was against that backdrop and following the interventions of a number of senators, notably Senator Daly and Senator Quinn, that I worked over the summer to coordinate and seek the approval of my fellow senators for their support in this motion. Because for me, this, Seanad, as Senator Layton said, is about us working together and actually trying to see of not just raising issues, but how we can make a difference and how we can put things in place. For me, Minister, just some quick commentary on your intervention. For me, you mentioned the situation of runaways, of children who are in the care of the state. This line has been proven in other EU member states to be a safe contact point for these missing children to be able to ring. They do not wish to ring the guards, they do not wish to ring the HSE, but by ringing we can maybe save resources of the guards and the HSE, knowing that a child is safe, and try and reconcile the difficulties. Minister, you opened and you notified in your speech, and you did very clearly say that 5 missing children is too many. But I was disappointed then later on when you went to highlight and update us on the situation for unaccompanied minors. You informed us that 11 of those children for 2010 are still missing. Now for me, a child is a child and their status is second. So for me, there are 16 children for 2010 who are still missing and cases are still open. And I think that is the accurate figure. And Minister, you outlined the importance of the statutory agencies working together, and I do think they are doing some invaluable work. But the line for me is about children and parents having access, and easy access to those services, and to give them a voice. Also, Minister, you mentioned that Comreg have advertised the line 4 times and no applications, but I suppose I should also note that an NGO, Minister, I know has submitted 2 funding proposals over the past few years to government seeking funding in order to be able to apply for the line. So in ending, Minister, I would like to say I very much welcome the announcement that you've made here to the House, your memo to Cabinet. I think, I do very much welcome that Cabinet gave time that it will be put into operation, that there will be a project team, that both the Departments of Justice and Equality, Department of Children and Youth Affairs, the Garda Síochána and Comreg will work together on a project team. And I would just urge you to follow the lead of 13 of the 16 EU member states in which the service is operational by assigning the number to a member of Missing Children Europe, because they have built up the links and the contact points. It works in 24 countries, works with NGOs, and most importantly, and I did note my colleague Senator Henry talked about cost effectiveness, but we also need to ensure that there are minimum quality standards which have been done, a practical guide for hotline providers to ensure that the hotlines operate throughout Europe, that they run professionally, efficiently and effectively and meet the European standards for best practice for service requirements. So thank you, Minister. We're not going to go away as a Senate. I know people may talk about the abolition of the Senate, but we will be monitoring this to ensure that it is implemented in full. We will work with you to do what we can as a Senate. We want to see that Ireland moves from being good on paper about its rights of the child to being actually good in operation and implementation, that we uphold them. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator